Time to Heal. My name is Pam Hemphill, and I'm going to be your host. We bring you the dark side of addiction into a whole new light. Today we're back here talking about drug court. And today we're going to have Melinda. She's going to give us a female perspective and what it's like to be going through drug court and all the benefits and how it's helping her. So would you like to start off first by sharing with us what was it like first for you growing up and your drug use history?
Well, both my parents have had their spouts with drugs. They did a really good job of shielding me through it, and I actually only got mixed up into drugs from a boyfriend that introduced it to me as a sexual enhancement.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and it went from that to I didn't like the feeling of coming down, so I chose not to. So I just used on a daily basis. And
Well, how old were you when this happened?
32.
30. How did you keep from using until 32?
Like I said, my parents did a really good job of shielding me from it.
Were you the only child?
I am not. My older sister took care of me. She was the one that took the burden of raising me when I was younger, when my mom was using, and then we moved in with my dad when he got remarried. She chose to stay there, and I moved back with my mom. And by that time, my mom was clean for the most part. She, dabbled here and there, and it wasn't until I was adult and started using myself that I actually seen what was going on. Now I can look and go, oh, that's what that was. Mm-hmm. But I didn't know it at the time. So
growing up, though, you didn't get in any trouble and go to juvenile hall or have any of those problems?
I was arrested once as a minor for breaking and entering.
Oh, but not drug-related?
No. Oh, no.
Normal type childhood?
I don't know if I'd go as far as say normal childhood, but, separate home. My parents were divorced when I was 4.
Okay.
So I came from a broken home, and the spouts. I've been the oldest child, the youngest child, and the middle child, depending on where I lived with what family at what time.
So what happened that got you into drug court?
I was arrested January and March of 2010, both for possession of methamphetamine, and I was put on probation. And at the end of almost at the end of my probation, I got violated for associating and using. Wow. And my probation officer said he thought it'd be a really good idea if I went into drug court. So when I was violated and taken into custody that night, that was the intent. And I can't be happier. My mindset, this program is just, it's got me in a better place than I have been my entire life, including before I ever even touched drugs.
Yeah, it's saving a lot of lives.
If you want it, that's one of the biggest things is if you're ready to change, if you want that change, drug court's going to make it happen.
A lot of people talk about drug court and say that it's just way too much for them to handle. It's very stressful, all the requirements. How do you handle it?
I want to change. And I'm really good at time management. I have 2 minor children. I have an adult child. I have a grandbaby.
And you work.
And I work. And I have a father that needs me. He had a stroke 4 years ago.
Oh.
And I love him very much. And he requires a lot of, I shouldn't say requires, I love giving him my time.
Yeah.
And I'm very stretched thin. And I do it anyway. I also have a sister and a brother-in-law that I spend a lot of time with. My mom lives out of town. I have an older sister I don't see very much. But I've got a lot of support and a lot of family, and I take pride in that.
So how long has it been now? How long are you clean and sober?
6, almost 7 months.
Oh, that's wonderful. Wow.
Yeah, and I had, the longest I had, this is going to be a little difficult, was 8 months, because when a condition of my bond was I UA'd twice a week. So I UA'd twice a week for 8 months. And I never touched anything. I didn't even go anywhere near it. And the one question I had to myself was, if I relapse, if I pick it up once, am I going to be able to put it back down? And so within an hour after my last UA, I got high for 2 days and hit it.
And again, what do you use when you get high?
Methamphetamine.
And that's been your drug of choice?
Absolutely.
Over alcohol?
Oh, yeah. I never considered myself an alcoholic. The correlation between the two has been apparent to me now. Like medical reasons and stuff. I've got alcoholics in my family, several. About every addiction: gambling, theft, drugs, alcohol.
Have you ever heard of adult children of alcoholics?
I have. Never engaged in anything.
It's a recovery program.
Right. That's for the families of, right?
Those that were raised with alcoholics and addicts.
No, I never engaged in anything like that. Like I said, I wasn't aware that my family was doing anything, when they were, until much later.
Yeah.
So, and they did a really good job of shielding me from it. So I appreciate that, because compared to my sister, I had a very normal childhood, comparatively. So.
Well, when you get a chance, there's some videos. John Bradshaw is what I would recommend to watch on YouTube. He explains the shame-based and some of the problems that happen as a result of being raised in a home where the parent was either an alcoholic or a drug addict. And that's something we'll talk again more about. But let's go back to the drug court experience. Didn't mean to get us off track here. If you start feeling, I just want to tell you, this is Brian.
Hi, Brian.
I bring him on the show in case one of my guests get depressed or feel insecure or nervous. Do you?
No.
Do you feel okay? Do you want to hold him?
I'm fine.
Okay. Well, don't take it
He's
as a
cute,
rejection problem.
No. I'm very self-secure.
No, him. He gets feelings hurt. That's
Oh.
okay. He can handle it. He's working the steps.
Do you want me to hold him?
No. If you start crying, I'll give him to you.
Okay.
Okay. Well, he overdosed on LSD. Oh, I shouldn't tell
that
him.
explains.
He should tell his own story. Anyway, back to drug court. What would you say is the biggest barrier for participants are having that's creating this problem where they drop out?
Accepting the fact that they don't have control over their life.
Oh, that's a good point.
Because drug court takes control. They tell you where to go, when to go there. They tell you when you can go to the bathroom.
Okay.
You call the UA line every morning. And if your color is called, you are to be down there before 9 a.m. They don't care how you do it, as long as it's legal, and you do it every day.
But you're aware of all this before you sign up.
That's right.
So you made a choice.
I made a choice, yeah. Drug court's a volunteer program.
Well, not mean you per se, but
it is a volunteer program.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You have the choice as to whether or not to be
Why
there.
do you think they have it that strict?
Because whatever choices you were making before led you to the path of drugs and alcohol, and so those choices are now no longer yours.
And one of the problems they say with us alcoholics and addicts is we're undisciplined people.
Right.
We don't like discipline at all. We're undisciplined.
Right.
So learning some discipline is not a bad idea.
Well, in the core, from what I understand, the belief, the way it was explained to me was whatever decisions we were doing is not working. Mm-hmm. So they want to take you out of your element. They want to put you in something that's unfamiliar to you and teach you how to cope with that. They want to look at the issues, the reason why you use. Whatever you're covering up, they want you to figure that out and heal from that. Because when that wound is healed, it really helps you stay away. I mean, if you're raped as a child and you use drugs or alcohol to cover that up, then that means you haven't dealt with that problem. So let's deal with the problem. Let's get you healed. Let's get forgiveness or whatever it is to make you feel better, and then go from there.
So they address this in the individual and group counseling?
Absolutely they do.
Because they talk about that in our big book. Alcohol is only but a symptom.
That's right.
So we get to the underlying problems.
Right.
Okay, so this is a culture shock. You got to understand, I've been drinking and drugging all these years. Now I'm into this drug court. Have you experienced that? It's like a shock. It's like all of a sudden your whole life has changed.
I knew what to expect already.
Okay.
I'm the type of person where I don't like surprises. So I did a lot of investigating. I talked to a lot of people. I knew people who were in drug court recently, and actually they got kicked out and are in prison. You know,
Their choices.
that was their choices.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the hardest thing is people they want to be in the program, but they don't want to do what they're told to do.
Accountability.
Right. So people don't like living at the mission. Well, you don't have a job. You don't have sober family or friends or somewhere that's safe for you. So living at the homeless shelter is where you need to be.
They allow that?
Absolutely. That's the number one place they will go.
Okay.
And I've been very lucky because I have sober family members. All my family local is sober. I have a vehicle. I have a driver's license. I have an income. I had a job for 3 years before I got violated. My job was thrilled to have me back. So I can say that I've been completely blessed. I've also been completely compliant. I understand that my life's not my life. And, I have my 2 minor children that live with me. They go to my meetings with me all the time. I spend too much time away from them between work and classes. Any opportunity I have to take them with me, I do.
How do your children feel about you being in drug court and being gone all the time?
They don't like me being gone all the time so much. But I work during the day when they're in school. And every Sunday is our day together. So every Sunday we stay together.
I think that's important to keep some special time just for your children.
It does.
Have you ever heard of Alateen?
I have. That was actually recently brought up to me, and my boys are not quite open to the idea just
That's
yet.
okay.
Yeah, I have to say that I honestly did a really good job of shielding them because we've had so many conversations over the last several years about my using and stuff like that, and they really had no idea. And even my sister, she's 14 years younger than me, she lived next door to me and had no idea that I was using for a year.
And we're good at hiding it, aren't
Yeah.
we? Sometimes.
Sometimes. My mom knew right off the bat. She didn't even have to see me. She just knew my activity. She just knew.
Yeah.
She busted me on it.
If you had a magic wand, or there's something you could change or help the drug court, what would that be?
I am so glad you asked that, Pam. I recently moved into a house, and this isn't like drug court per se, but and I found a number of paraphernalia in the house. And at first it was just in the storage, and I actually contacted the homeowner when my sons were cleaning it out, and I looked down and seen a homemade meth pipe.
Oh.
And the homeowner was already on her way there. She started cleaning out a little bit more and found 3 more meth pipes.
This is a house you just moved into. It
Yes.
was already there.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. It was
Yeah.
the previous tenant and stuff who had moved their stuff out. I actually had to move.
Was that a trigger for you?
No, I got mad.
Okay.
And then after that, which I notified the POs and everything.
Okay.
I did whatever steps I needed to take to keep myself safe. And then about a couple weeks ago, underneath the crawl space in my tub was a baggie. And the corner of it was methamphetamine. And I had requested that a drug dog come in, and then I was informed that there was a possibility that I could be charged. And I was not thrilled with that. So at this point, I would like to start a program where people who are moving into a house that is maybe not in the best neighborhood, or they may not even think about it, they start moving in and finding things where they actually can have a drug dog come into their residence and not get charged.
That's an excellent idea.
Thank you.
Plus, for some it could be a trigger. You don't want that to happen.
Absolutely.
So before they move in, they'd have the PO come out with a drug dog, sniff it out and get it all cleaned up before they moved in.
Right. Or like in my case, I was already moved in, and I've got 4 storage units on the property. It's a pretty good sized property. And all of the stuff belongs to the other tenant. It's still not cleaned out.
Right.
And I would have never thought to put anything in a crawl space under a tub.
Yeah, that's a very good point. It definitely needs to be looked into.
Right.
Back to your recovery. What are you doing for your recovery?
I am currently in 12-step program. I go a minimum of 2 times a week.
Is that ordered or?
That is ordered.
Can you go more?
I can.
If you can.
Yeah. And I do sometimes. I love the program. I love the people that I've met, and just talking to everybody. When something happens and I get mad, I can go in there and share, and I can vent.
Yeah.
Or when something good happens, I can go in there with smiles, and everybody smiles with me. And I love that feeling. In drug court, I'm taking classes. I also, do some self-meditation, and it's very therapeutic spending time with my dad.
Yeah. Being of service always helps a lot.
It does.
What if you were agnostic and didn't believe in a higher power and didn't want to go to the self-help program? Would you still have to go?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
Because there's smart recovery and there's, which is a cognitive behavioral type program. They don't mention God in that program. Can they go to their PO though, or the courts and say, I'd rather go to smart recovery or celebrate recovery or some other program?
I am not sure, to be honest with you.
I have to find out.
That's a very good question.
Okay, because a lot of people don't want to go to AA per se. I don't know if I'm supposed to have said that, but 12-step program, they don't want to be ordered there. Just curious about that. But so far for you...
You know what, honestly, I think it just says 12-step program. It doesn't define which one.
Oh, okay. So they probably give them a list of everywhere else they could go.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah, I want to find out. That'd be interesting. But for you, the 12-step spiritual program has been working.
Yeah.
Is there anything you'd like to share with others of what you would say to them to do to help you be successful in drug court?
Just accept the fact that your life isn't yours, and that the decisions that are made for your benefit. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to agree with it, you just have to accept it. That's what it's about. And right now, my frame of mind is my higher power drives my bus, drug court runs my life, and it's just my job to put them together.
Oh, what a beautiful saying. I love that.
Thank you.
But back up just for a minute. What is it that the resistance, what is the resistance that they're having?
The fact that they want to do what they want to do. They're
still wanting to use some of
Well,
them.
it's not, it's not
Maybe.
even that, because it's like, for example, if you're my mother and you have a substance abuse issue and you're clean now, but they want you to UA.
Me?
Yes. Oh, yes. They will do that with family members. So you won't UA, or you UA and you fail, they're going to put a no contact order between us to protect me. And I violate that no contact order by contacting you because you're my mother. And I don't agree with it. Well, then I'm going to go to jail.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes. And I can understand, because family is going to be most people's number one fall down.
That's true. What if we had it where, they have supervision with parents meet with their children, they're supervised? What about having supervised family visits? Is that an idea?
Well, they have
Or a good idea?
they have a class that's held once a month, and it's for families.
Okay.
And you can get special permission to bring the family, if you have a no contact order with them, to bring them to that class.
But it is a good idea maybe to stay away from family members for a while.
Because
some of them can be very toxic.
Yes, they can.
Yeah. I want to go back to your children. There's a program called Alateen. I think we talked about it a little bit. That's one area in our society that is not touched on. It's very little. Is there any help in drug court for the kids? Can they get into any counseling?
There's nothing that I'm aware of.
Okay.
That's probably a good idea. That was one of the other things that I thought about, not with the teens, but with the issue that I had. I know that for me that I wanted help before I got arrested and had absolutely no idea where to go to get help.
Mm.
And I cannot right now think of anywhere other than a 12-step program, but somewhere that's hold you accountable a little bit more without actually getting arrested.
Ah.
So
Like
I would like to start something like that, you know.
oh, the person doesn't, they see they're getting in trouble, they're heading down the road and they're going, I need help.
Right.
You're not talking about a treatment program.
Some sort of treatment, well, almost like a treatment, but if you think about it, you have, like, people who have money, they're going to have insurance. Their insurance will pay for rehab.
But if a person wants help, there are phone numbers, there's places that will help them. I'm kind of confused what you're talking about.
That's what I'm talking about. I mean, what numbers can you call? I mean, how do you get that information?
About where to go for treatment?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the treatment costs money.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody doesn't have money, because
I'm not prepared to give out those numbers right now.
Well, no,
there are
no.
numbers.
The
Police department has a list. They do. They keep a list down there.
Well, I know that when I was using the police department, it's going to be the last place I'd call.
Yeah, that's true.
You know.
So, I know there's a self-help manual.
Yeah.
And it has a list of a lot of places. So you're suggesting the city maybe has a sign? You want to drink and use, call this number maybe, a bulletin board?
No, I'm suggesting...
Are we brainstorming now some ideas? Is that what we're doing?
I'm just kind of along the lines of the, you know, what I was talking about the dog coming in and cleaning out the house.
Mm-hmm.
You can call them and say, I'm done using, I need help. And
But majority of people would end up, most of them, when they're ready, they'll call a 12-step program. Because that's where you get the help.
well, if they don't know about it though, they don't know that. Just some sort of
Well, if they
guidance.
don't know about 12-step programs.
Right.
So
Because like me, I knew there was AA. I had no idea where to look or, you know, first, I never even thought about it. I mean, I had family and stuff that had been in a 12-step program, but I had absolutely no idea how to find them.
Well, how did you didn't end up finding them except for through drug court?
Through,
Yeah.
after getting arrested. Yeah.
Well, and so they did a good service for you, didn't they?
Right, and I'm glad.
But I think you're talking about like in the newspaper, more media, more availability.
Right. I just look at help. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, we had, you know, people coming into the schools and, you know, they would talk about using drugs. They would talk about stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm sure they're doing that in the schools.
I have not heard my children once say anything about that.
Yeah, we're not reaching our kids. We're not helping them, and it's really sad. They hold on. It's my fault. Mom and Dad was an alcoholic. There's a lot of problems around children that we need to start addressing. And I'm wanting to start a group doing that. There's a book I'll tell you that you can get for your children, for you and your children. It's called The Elephant in the Living Room. And it's there's an elephant in the front room. We're going to start talking. It's okay to talk about it now, because that's the main thing.
That's one thing that I have definitely done with my children. We talk a lot, and my oldest son has issues with communicating feelings and what he's thinking, and I will actually walk him through a thinking report and play that whole tape out in his head so that he can see and he can understand and he can relate and associate things to where he can understand what's going on with himself.
That's wonderful, because they hold in that it's their fault somehow. Mom and Dad were drinking and using because of me, and they don't know it, but that's what they're holding on to.
Right.
But anyway, thank you so much for coming today. It's a blessing. I'm so proud of you doing so good in drug court. Hang in there. If you ever need help, you call me. You got my number. 24 hours. Okay.
I'm sleeping 10 of them.
And if you're out there struggling today and you feel like you're never going to make it and you feel hopeless, great. I think that's a good thing, because now you can maybe get some help. As long as I thought I could get away with this or get away with that and I could do it myself, I never could stay clean and sober. When I hit that place where I knew I needed the help, it started to work, and it's been working for 35 years. So stay in there with us, okay? One more day, well, maybe one more minute if that's all you can do, because your miracle is on its way. Aww, I'm so blessed you were here today. This is awesome.
Thank you for having me.
You look beautiful.
Thank you.